Good morning and welcome to Morning Movie News, where director James Mangold continues to do an excellent job of keeping his next film, Logan, I hate that title so much. Sorry, mild tangent. I think that while at first it was fun to geek out and be like, oh, it's a reference to Old Man Logan. And as I said, minus the old man, because Hugh Jackman's agents were like, I don't think you should have him call you old man. But anyway, now the more we have to reference Logan, the more and more I'm like, you know what? It's hard to draw a connection between Logan and the X-Men movies, right? You keep having to be like, Logan, Wolverine 3. So anyway, back to James Mangold. He's doing a very good job keeping it in the news with clues via Instagram. And he's just the latest director to use social media, I think, quite well. Usually it's actors who use social media to promote their movies. Think Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart. But I think that Zack Snyder does a very good job promoting his movies via social media. David Ayer also did a nice job. I think nobody's better than Zack Snyder at the moment because, you know, he puts like videos, right, and like really cool reveals. And I think that Ayer and Mangold have been more cryptic. But Mangold's getting less so, and that's one of the things we're going to discuss today. But this is all leading up to a trailer release, and heads up, some of you told me that Guardians of the Galaxy and Logan have both had their trailers approved for release, and I believe they will hit early next week because Doctor Strange will be opening October 25th overseas, and so those trailers will want to play in front of that movie. So next week, it's starting to be the holiday movie season, because thank goodness October's been awfully slow. Poor The Accountant. It should have been big, and maybe word of mouth will save it. But anyway, we're talking about Logan 2017. So he's talked about Boyd Holbrook playing Donald Pierce. He's revealed that. There was someone who wrote in the bathroom, not for a good time, but where did all the mutants go? It's such a pressing issue. They were like, why would you ask such a serious question in the bathroom? But anyway, also, he's now revealed that there will be Reavers in the film. And that was the team of mutant hunters, cyborg mutant hunters, mind you. But cyborgs are expensive, so I don't know if they're going to be cyborgs in the movie. But that's who Donald Pierce led, a team of cyborg hunting mutants called the Reavers in the Age of Apocalypse storyline. All right, so anyway, I think they'll probably still be hunting mutants because of the line, where did all the mutants go? But the reason that I did that reaction is because this is Fox's problem in a nutshell. They just basically put the continuity of the X-Men into a blender. Because you have Old Man Logan mixed with Age of Apocalypse now, and if you're going to start taking things from the Age of Apocalypse storyline, is there any hope of you ever being able to do that? And speaking of Apocalypse, Caliban, who of course was like a German club goer in X-Men Apocalypse over the summer, is showing up in this movie, played by Stephen Merchant, as some kind of Wild West character, who seems to have a very different vibe than the one, again, that Bryan Singer presented in X-Men Apocalypse. So I think that things like that, the lack of continuity, I think keep people from being as invested in the X-Men, the Fox Marvel movies. Although I think that Deadpool is going to nip this in the bud, because I think the people working on that film are more of comic book people. But I think that this is why people aren't as invested in what Fox is doing with their comic book movies as they are with what Marvel proper, the MCU, and DC are doing. But I mean, look, I think it'll be fun to watch. Although I have to say, Westerns don't do so well. Magnificent Seven hasn't hit 100 million yet. Westworld is struggling on HBO. And so now I'd be like, should we have made Wolverine 3 or Logan a Western? Good thing it's rated R. But, and I'm sure many of those Reavers will be chopped to bits in the service of that rating. So what do you think of the way Logan is shaping up? I'm very curious to see the trailer. And by the way, one of the best Westerns I've ever seen, and I know that many of you have ever seen because we've talked about this before, is a James Mangold film, 3:10 to Yuma, the remake. Really good movie. So he can make a good Western. So we'll see how Logan turns out. I would change that. They can't, but I think that maybe they should have thought about that title a little bit longer. All right, so anyway, that's the first story of the day. The second story of the day is talk about a perfect pitch. Pitch Perfect 3 is coming along, and there's been some coverage in the press lately. And so it's interesting. The Hollywood Reporter has become very fan-friendly, and so they were doing top things, an update on what we know that's going on in Pitch Perfect 3. And it was funny to see an industry trade do that kind of coverage, right? I was like, the line is blurring. But anyway, so I was like, let's see if they have any new information. And they didn't particularly, but one interesting thing that they focused on was the fact that Pitch Perfect 3, the only thing that we really know about it is something that Universal said when they changed the release date recently, and that's they said it's going to be a Merry Pitchmas. And I was like, mind blown! That is the best idea I've ever heard. Not, well, it's one of the best. Like, and from like my business sense, like Spidey sense, goes off big time when I hear Merry Pitchmas. Why? Well, the date's been moved. This is the third date that they've had. And a lot of it's because, Elizabeth Banks was like, I want to direct it. Okay, now I can't. Maybe I can direct it. No, I can't direct it. So they're moving the movie all over the place. First, it was supposed to be July 2017, then August 2017, now December 22nd, 2017. And I think the movie actually lucked out because, first of all, they've already done 2 Pitch Perfects, right? So, like, where can the story really go at this point? But if you think that it's going to be a holiday movie, ba-bam! Interest renewed. Then not only just like, what should we see for the Christmas season? How about a movie about with people singing amazing Christmas songs and remixes of them? Okay, but then also everyone's going to buy that album. I mean, I think that album sales have already been very good for Pitch Perfect, but everybody loves a good Christmas album. So this is probably one of the best ideas I've ever heard, and it's a great way to revitalize the brand. I mean, next I'd be like, how about a Halloween movie? This is like a whole new life for Pitch Perfect, doing holiday movies because people love holiday music. So really good idea. Really good idea. All right, now also for the third story, speaking of casting, they're continuing to add to the Pacific Rim 2 cast. And the most recent one, this is fascinating, is Karen Brar from the Disney Channel. I really like this guy. I haven't seen him recently. I used to watch him on Jessie. My sister really loves the Disney Channel, so I actually sometimes end up watching it, although I do like Elena of Avalor. But anyway, he's very talented. He's a very good comedian. And he's, as you can see, of Indian descent. And so it's interesting to me to see more and more ethnicities represented in Hollywood. Like for a long time, it was white, black, and Hispanic. And as we discussed on Movie Math, that's largely who goes to the movies in the United States. But as the global box office has more of an influence over the success of movies coming out of Hollywood, you're starting to see some casting barriers broken down. And you've seen it this year with Asian talent in front of the camera, because behind the camera, they've been, there's been a lot of Asian talent on the rise, particularly with directors. Do you know the three? I'll give you a second to write it down in the comments. All right. Justin Lin, John Chu, and James Wan. All right. Oh, and also Jennifer Yu Nelson, who's coming to live action as well from animation. All right. So anyway, you have this guy, Karen Brar, joining Pacific Rim 2, and now you have Neil Sethi, of course, in The Jungle Book. So it's very, very exciting. Now, Indian talent, it's been a little tougher for them because getting a success in the Indian box office is tough because they have such a prolific film industry on their own. They don't really need outside movies. They often remake a lot of Western films actually over there. But anyway, The Jungle Book did very well in India, naturally, and also, Neil Sethi starring. He went over there to promote the film. And they contributed the third biggest box office haul to The Jungle Book's almost $1 billion take. And just to put it in perspective, though, still, the highest box office for The Jungle Book came from the United States, still with $364 million. Then China came in with $150 million. Then the UK actually with $57 million, and then India with $38. So that's fourth place for India. That's pretty solid. And you need those big chunks overseas to drive that foreign box office. The foreign box office for The Jungle Book was $600 million plus. And you can see it, 150, it's a huge chunk from China, again, 57 from the UK, and 38 from India, and then much smaller numbers from all the other countries in the world. So very interesting, and we'll see if Pacific Rim 2 can do well in India because of casting like Karen Brar. Maybe we'll see even more Indian talent get opportunities in Hollywood films. Now, speaking of Hollywood, I have a viewer question from Movie Math this week, actually, from MD DuPont. And MD DuPont says, Grace, I always wait to see new releases on Tuesdays because my town has $5 movies all day. Am I hurting the movies I want to support by waiting? Outside of not giving them more money for premium weekend prices, because we were talking about The Accountant and it not doing as well as I think many of us would have hoped, and that it could have done if perhaps it hadn't been skewered by the critics. But MD DuPont, I don't think that you should feel bad at all about taking advantage of a price break to go to the movies. It is extremely expensive to go to the movies these days. In fact, it's on the rise yet again. They just reported yesterday, I think it's like $8.60 now is the medium ticket price, and it keeps going up about 30 or 40 cents every year. Although in New York City, it's $20 to go to a movie. That's like the start. Well, I think some theaters are like 16, 17, but like for the most part, it's $20 to go to a movie before IMAX or 3D. So it's getting up there. And then also you have new theaters like the new iPic theaters that have premium seats, and that's $32 here in New York City. So it's expensive. So MD DuPont, if you can support multiple movies by being able to take advantage of $5 Tuesdays, that's fantastic. I think that's only also from the medium price, that's only $3 off. I think the Hollywood should just be happy to have your business, because a lot of people aren't going to the movies at all. So do what you need to do to be able to go to the movies, have fun, but without, I think it would be less fun for you to take a severe financial hit, or have to see less movies. Just have a good time. I'm glad your theater offers that. And you're helping the theater with weekday business, because maybe you're buying some snacks, and they obviously offer the $5 on Tuesdays to drum up business during the slower, one of the slowest days of the week for movie going, because Thursday is when the movies start anyway in the evening these days. So have a good time. Don't feel bad about it at all. And I think in the long run, I don't think it's not making a huge difference. It's still supporting the movie. So I'm curious to what you guys think. When do you go to see the movies? What do you pay? And what do you think is reasonable to pay? And how does price dictate your movie going habits? So everybody, thank you for tuning in. That's today's morning movie news. Please write down below what you think of today's top 3 stories, MD DuPont's viewer question, anything you'd like to see covered tomorrow, and any questions that you might have. Thanks for watching. Bye.